In this video, you will see the top 5 most toxic manipulative techniques from dark psychology. I want to warn you that we do not recommend using these techniques. The video is for educational purposes, so you can understand how they work, how to recognize them, and how to protect yourself from them. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel to not miss other similar videos. And now, let's get started. Number 1. Gaslighting. First, a little background. Do you know where this term comes from? If you don't worry. I'll explain it now. The term gaslighting comes from the title of the play and film Gaslight from 1938, written by Patrick Hamilton. In this story, the main character manipulates his wife by convincing her that she is going crazy, subjecting their home to suspicious gas changes that only she can notice. The husband uses the gaslights in their home, adjusting the brightness, but denies any changes. When his wife mentions it, he convinces her that she is imagining things, causing her to doubt her own sanity. The term gaslighting has become a symbol of psychological abuse, where one person tries to undermine the confidence and sound mind of another by systematically distorting reality and denying facts. Now that you know where the term comes from, let's move on to the essence of what exactly is done with this technique and what it causes to people. Gaslighting is a form of emotional and psychological manipulation that seeks to make a person doubt their own thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. It involves the deliberate attempt to deceive someone into questioning their reality, sanity, or memories. Gaslighting can be harmful and is generally considered unethical. Here are some of the things people do when using this technique. The manipulator denies that certain events or conversations ever occurred, even when there is evidence to the contrary. He deliberately withholds information or pretends not to have knowledge about certain events to create confusion. The manipulator questions the victim's memory or perception, creating doubt and making the victim feel insecure about their understanding of events. He downplays the significance of the victim's feelings or experiences, making them feel as if their concerns are unimportant or irrational. The manipulator shifts the blame onto the victim, making them feel responsible for the manipulator's actions or behavior. This technique can be very dangerous and cause significant mental harm to its victims. Here's where it leads. Gaslighting can lead to significant emotional and psychological distress. The constant questioning of one's reality can result in anxiety, depression, and a diminished sense of self-worth. This technique involves manipulating the truth and creating a false narrative. This distortion of reality can make the victim doubt their own memory, judgment, and overall sanity. Gaslighters often isolate their victims from support networks by undermining their relationships and making them question the intentions of friends and family. This isolation can increase the victim's vulnerability. Gaslighting can gradually erode a person's confidence and self-esteem. The victim may become increasingly dependent on the gaslighter for validation and guidance. This technique is often used as a tool to exert control and power over someone. This power dynamic can lead to an imbalance in the relationship, with the gaslighter manipulating and dominating the victim. Gaslighting can have lasting effects on an individual's mental health and well-being. Even after the gaslighting relationship ends, the victim may struggle with self-doubt, trust issues, and difficulty forming healthy relationships. If something from what you've heard so far ever seems familiar, I advise you to keep in mind that if things worsen, distance yourself from this person as quickly as possible. Number 2. Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping is a manipulative technique commonly used in human relationships such as friendships, romantic connections, and acquaintances. This is because it is quite effective and helps manipulators achieve their goals. Here is what the technique entails. Guilt tripping is a manipulative technique designed to make individuals feel guilty or responsible for something to achieve a desired outcome. This method involves applying emotional pressure, often through various tactics, to elicit a strong sense of guilt or obligation in the target. Manipulators often play the victim card, portraying themselves as wronged or mistreated, and emphasizing their sacrifices or efforts as unappreciated. They may subtly suggest that their love, approval, or acceptance is conditional upon the target's compliance, creating a sense of obligation and fear of rejection. Exaggerating the potential negative consequences of the target's actions is a common element in guilt tripping, as it makes the individual feel responsible for perceived harm or damage. Additionally, Manipulators may employ the silent treatment to induce guilt, withholding communication or affection as a form of emotional punishment. Comparisons to others who have supposedly done better or made more significant sacrifices are used to induce feelings of inadequacy and guilt. Furthermore, guilt trippers may subtly shift blame onto the target, making them feel guilty for something they are not responsible for, creating confusion and self-doubt. Recognizing guilt-tripping tactics is crucial for individuals to establish healthy boundaries. Practicing assertiveness, engaging in open communication, and setting clear expectations can help mitigate the impact of guilt-tripping in relationships and interactions. Number 3. The silent treatment. The silent treatment is a form of emotional abuse where one intentionally ignores or avoids communication with another person as a means of control or punishment. In this manipulation technique, the manipulator completely withdraws from any form of communication, ignoring messages, avoiding eye contact, and refusing to engage in conversations. The recipient is left without any explanation for the sudden silence, creating confusion and anxiety. The silent treatment can last for varying lengths, and the manipulator may selectively ignore certain topics or individuals. The damage to mental health caused by the silent treatment is significant. The uncertainty and lack of communication heighten anxiety and stress, with the recipient constantly wondering when or if the silent treatment will end. Recipients may experience confusion and self-doubt, questioning their actions, words, and self-worth. They may internalize blame and feel responsible for the situation. The intentional withdrawal emotionally isolates the recipient, fostering feelings of loneliness and rejection, which can contribute to depression. Constant exposure erodes self-esteem, leading individuals to believe they are unworthy of love or attention. Fear of rejection or abandonment can make it challenging for recipients to trust others in future relationships. The silent treatment can result in poor communication patterns, as recipients may develop avoidance strategies or fear engaging in open and honest conversations. Emotional scars persist long after the episode, affecting individuals' ability to connect in future relationships. Recognizing the harmful effects of the silent treatment is crucial. Seeking support from friends, family, or mental health professionals is essential for those who experience it. Establishing healthy communication patterns and setting clear boundaries are vital steps towards breaking free from its damaging effects. Number 4. Love bombing. Love bombing is a manipulative tactic used in interpersonal relationships, often associated with cults, toxic friendships, or abusive romantic relationships. The term refers to the excessive display of affection, attention, and positive reinforcement in the early stages of a relationship to create a strong emotional connection and gain control over the targeted individual. While initially appearing as genuine affection, it is a strategy employed by manipulators to establish dominance and dependency. Here are some characteristics and examples of love bombing. The love bomber may use constant praise, compliments, and expressions of love to make the targeted person feel special and valued. The manipulator will give the impression that the targeted individual is the center of their world, showering them with attention and making them feel important. Love bombing often involves rapid progression in the relationship, such as declaring love very early or making grand gestures to intensify emotional involvement. Love bombers may try to isolate the targeted person from their friends and family, creating a dependency on the manipulator for emotional support. Generous gift-giving and unexpected surprises are common tactics to create a sense of obligation and reciprocity. Love bombers may flood the targeted person with messages, calls, and other forms of communication, making them feel constantly connected. Here's how love bombing affects on individuals. Love bombing can lead to the targeted person becoming emotionally dependent on the manipulator, as the intense positive reinforcement becomes a source of emotional security. The targeted individual may become blinded by the overwhelming affection, making it difficult for them to see any potential red flags or negative aspects of the relationship. Love bombing is a manipulation tactic used to gain control over the targeted person's emotions, decisions, and actions. The isolating behavior of love bombing can result in the targeted person distancing themselves from friends and family, making it easier for the manipulator to exert control. It's important for individuals to be aware of the signs of love bombing and maintain a healthy level of skepticism, especially in the early stages of a relationship. If someone feels overwhelmed or uncomfortable with the intensity of attention and affection, seeking support from friends, family, or professionals is advisable. Number 5. I think most of us have heard this at least once in our lives. Nobody cares about me. I'm always alone. And if you're wondering whether this is manipulation, oh yes, I will show you exactly how. Playing the victim is a manipulative technique where an individual portrays themselves as the innocent party, unfairly wronged or mistreated, to elicit sympathy, support, or to avoid responsibility. Here's more information on how it works, examples, and its potential impact on mental health. Wondering how the technique works, although it's quite familiar to you. Here are a few examples. The manipulator shifts blame onto others, portraying themselves as the victim of circumstances or the actions of someone else. They exaggerate their suffering, emphasizing the negative impact of the situation on them to garner empathy. Playing the victim seeks validation from others, making them feel morally superior and justified in their actions. This technique allows the manipulator to avoid taking responsibility for their actions by presenting themselves as helpless or unfairly treated. Here are a few examples of how the technique would look in action. A coworker consistently misses deadlines and neglects responsibilities. When confronted, they play the victim by emphasizing personal challenges, garnering sympathy instead of addressing their performance issues. In a romantic relationship, a partner might continually play the victim, portraying themselves as the one constantly wronged to deflect attention from their own negative behaviors. A friend might play the victim after a disagreement, emphasizing their hurt feelings and portraying the other party as the aggressor to gain support from mutual friends. Here's how this technique impacts on mental health. People manipulated by someone playing the victim may experience guilt, believing they are responsible for the manipulator's perceived suffering. Constant exposure to victim playing can be emotionally draining, as individuals may find themselves providing continual support without receiving reciprocity. Over time, playing the victim can erode trust in relationships, as others may become skeptical of the manipulator's genuine intentions. Those who see through the manipulation may develop resentment, as they recognize the unfair distribution of blame and the manipulator's refusal to take responsibility. Victims of manipulation may experience a negative impact on their self-worth, as they may feel used or taken advantage of. Playing the victim can contribute to unhealthy relationship dynamics, with one party constantly seeking sympathy and the other feeling obligated to provide it. It's important for individuals to recognize manipulative behaviors and establish healthy boundaries to protect their mental well-being. Seeking support from friends, family, or mental health professionals can be crucial in navigating and overcoming the impact of playing the victim. And with this, we conclude the video. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed it and comment on what you think about these techniques. Have they been used against you at any point in your life? Were you able to break free from the manipulator? Also, comment if you'd like more similar videos, such as what dark psychology means, what it studies, and what other techniques it hides. I'll be glad to hear your opinion.